Glycerius was a Roman emperor who reigned in the Western Roman Empire from 473 to 474 CE, making him one of the more obscure and lesser-known figures in the late antique period. His reign was short, lasting only about 1 year, and his time in power was largely overshadowed by the larger political turmoil of the late Western Roman Empire. Glycerius's origins are unclear. He is often referred to as coming from humble beginnings, possibly a military background, though some sources suggest he may have had some connections to the imperial court. His name, Glycerius, which is derived from the Greek word for sweet or pleasant, does not indicate any high aristocratic lineage, which suggests that he may not have had a strong claim to power through noble heritage. Before becoming emperor, Glycerius was likely involved in military or administrative service within the Roman Empire. The Western Roman Empire in the mid-5th century was beset by internal instability, external invasions, and the fragmentation of imperial authority. The role of military leaders and commanders had grown increasingly influential in determining who would hold power. It is probable that Glycerius was one of these military figures, though specific details about his career prior to his ascent to the throne remain sparse. Glycerius's rise to the throne occurred during a period of intense political instability in the Western Roman Empire. In 473 CE, the previous emperor, the young Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by the Germanic general Orestes, who took control of the empire. However, Orestes soon lost his grip on power when his own forces, led by the Germanic chieftain Odoacer, rebelled and ousted him. After Orestes was killed in 474 CE, Odoacer declared himself the ruler of Italy, though he did not formally assume the title of emperor. Glycerius's claim to the throne came in this turbulent context. At some point in the latter part of 473 CE, Glycerius was proclaimed emperor by a faction of the military, most likely after a period of instability following Orestes's fall. Glycerius was not widely supported by the aristocracy or the Senate, and his claim to power was largely rooted in military backing rather than any formal or traditional means of succession. His reign, therefore, was immediately challenged by competing factions and figures of power within the empire. Glycerius's reign as emperor was brief, lasting only about 17 months. His rule was marked by weak leadership and the lack of substantial support from both the military and the political elite. One significant challenge during his reign was his inability to gain control over the Western Empire's fragmented territories. The imperial court was effectively a puppet of military factions, and Glycerius's legitimacy was tenuous at best. In 474 CE, the Western Roman Empire experienced an upheaval that would bring Glycerius's reign to an end. The most crucial event was the arrival of the Eastern Roman Emperor Leo I, who sought to reassert control over the West and end the chaos that had plagued it. Leo I, having been informed of Glycerius's shaky position, sent his general, the experienced commander and future emperor Julius Nepos, to assert imperial authority over the western provinces. Julius Nepos, a member of the Illyrian aristocracy, was a more legitimate and formidable candidate to rule the Western Empire, as he had been chosen by Leo I to take the throne. In 474 CE, Nepos marched into Italy and, with the support of local military forces, deposed Glycerius. Glycerius's removal was peaceful. There are no records of major battles or uprisings associated with his fall, which suggests that his reign was so unpopular and unstable that few resisted Nepos's claim. Following his deposition, Glycerius was not executed, as was common with deposed emperors in this period. Instead, he was granted the title of Bishop of Salona, modern-day Split, Croatia, a position that allowed him to live out his remaining years in relative obscurity and comfort. This move to ecclesiastical office was likely a way to avoid bloodshed and ensure that Glycerius did not pose any further threat to the stability of the empire. His appointment to the bishopric of Salona is a striking example of the way the Church had become an important political tool in the late Roman Empire, offering sanctuary and power to former rulers and imperial figures. Glycerius's life after his deposition is not well documented, and it is unclear how long he served as bishop. The date of his death is uncertain, but it is generally believed that he lived for several years after his removal from the imperial throne. Glycerius's reign left little lasting impact on the history of the Roman Empire. His brief and largely ineffective rule was part of a larger trend in the final decades of the Western Roman Empire, where power was often held by weak emperors or military strongmen, and where the central authority of the emperor had eroded significantly. Historians often view Glycerius as a minor figure who, despite briefly holding the title of emperor, played little role in the long decline of the Western Roman Empire. His reign was overshadowed by more significant figures of the time, such as Odoacer, the Germanic leader who effectively ended the Western Roman Empire by taking control of Italy in 476 CE, 2 years after Glycerius was deposed. Glycerius's reign is a reminder of the precariousness of imperial power in the 5th century. The Western Roman Empire was a fragmented and unstable entity with numerous competing factions, and the emperors of this period were often little more than figureheads, with real power lying in the hands of military commanders, foreign invaders, or internal rivals. The final collapse of the Western Roman Empire came soon after Glycerius's reign, as the remnants of the empire were absorbed into the rising power of the Germanic kingdoms, including that of Odoacer. In conclusion, Glycerius is a largely forgotten emperor whose reign was marked by instability and a lack of support. He was a figurehead during a period of significant political turmoil, and his reign, brief as it was, represented a final chapter in the slow decline of the Western Roman Empire before its formal collapse in 476 CE. While his brief time on the throne was inconsequential in the grand scope of history, it serves as a testament to the fragility of imperial power in a crumbling empire.